Hi everyone, I'm here with Wolfgang Jaksch. He's the creator of IMRS PEMF system and also founder of Swissbionic Solutions. And he's here with us here in LA from all the way from Switzerland. And he has spent decades trying to develop magnetic field technologies. And I'm super grateful to have him here today. Thank you, Wolfgang. Thank you so much for this opportunity because I know how busy you are, so I greatly appreciate this time.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it as well.
And I'm aware about your background and how and why you started PEMF systems. But for those who are new, can you share why you got into developing this?
Yeah, absolutely. I can summarize it in a couple of words. I'm 30 years in that business, let's say it like that, and everything started with a not so nice message because I got diagnosed with cancer when I was 26 years old. I was suffering from a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at that time. It's a quite serious kind of cancer, and after going through the whole classical medical practices, I had 2 surgeries. I had a full stage of chemotherapy. I lost about 85 pounds within 6 months. I was not the same person as before. And on my pathway to back to health, after I got released from the hospital, I was very insecure because I had no education in whatsoever in what can I do to prevent myself from another cancer attack. What do I have to do anyway except going to the tests and laboratory analysis to check my tumor markers and to go into an MRI annually to see if there is any progression or whatsoever. So beside of that, they leave you alone. They don't give you any advice, any hints what to do, and so I ended up creating that feeling that I want to do something proactive to not get attached by this cancer anymore, and to stay healthy, obviously, which you like to do when you're 26. So it hit me very early. Usually I'm not prepared for a message like this in this young age, and then I started to research, and my problem at the time was that I started also on top of my problems I had from the cancer, started suffering from insomnia due to the high toxins from the chemotherapy, so I couldn't sleep anymore. So I started a journey of education, let's say it like that. At that time, Google was not invented, so I had to go to libraries, I had to go to health fairs, to events, to lectures of people talking about holistic health, about what you can do as a lay person to protect yourself from illnesses and stuff like that. And I learned a lot during that journey, and I also eventually got introduced to the technology I'm representing since 30 years, which is pulse electromagnetic field technology. At that time I was at a lecture, and the guy talked about insomnia, which then raised my attention, and it made total sense what he told about that. So I bought one of these machines. It was at that time, it was in Austria on a lecture, and it was around that time. We talk here about the 80s, the early 90s, sorry. And the first units of PMF devices for home use appeared on the market in Europe at that time. So I was probably one of the first users, maybe not the first, but right from the beginning, I started experiencing that type of technology, and so I used it on me, and after 6 weeks, I figured out that I slept much better. So that created even more attention because I felt that there is something going on with me using this technology on a daily basis, and this is how I ended up creating a business, because I was so intrigued and so motivated by my personal results that I wanted to do this professional and share my wisdom, my knowledge, and my experience. Knowledge and wisdom I didn't have so much at that time, but I gathered that over time later on. But it was at the beginning more about sharing my experiences, and so, you know, one puzzle piece comes to the other, and I founded a company, and over time I started developing my own systems. So the technology was not developed by me, the basic technology, but what I actually did, I tried to improve the systems, also in terms of usability, all the things you need to have to make a technology also usable for people in the comfort of their homes. Simple usage, all that stuff, you know. So that's more or less how I ended up doing what I'm still doing after 30 years, and I'm still healthy, and I'm still happy, and I'm still excited to share everything about this technology, and even more about complementary, alternative, and holistic health with our environment.
That's very inspiring to hear. It sounds like PEMF not only helped you with insomnia, healing insomnia, but also keeping away cancer for many years after that.
Yeah, you should not say this because I don't know. I have no proof for that. But the fact that I'm still here, I think I'm pretty healthy and pretty energetic. It also doesn't prove the opposite. So yes, I strongly believe that using this technology helped me to help my body to keep itself clean from illnesses, let's say it like that.
And also, when you first created PEMF systems, it was a long time ago. How was people's attitude in those days towards PEMF?
Well, based on the fact that nobody knew about it, when you did a lecture, you see in faces with a lot of question marks. So at the beginning, when I started promoting this technology, I didn't even speak about the system itself. You had to first establish a basic education level, so that people understand the concept of it before you talk even about the device. So you more or less you have to talk about tires and engine and gearbox before you introduce the car to the people. And this was my approach, how I started to really establish very, very basic lay people education about PEMF, because PEMF is based on physics. It's not even based on the medical approach. PEMF is still nowadays applied physics, so it requires some kind of basic knowledge in physics to understand the mechanisms and to also understand what properties you need to combine in order to make a PEMF system effective and finally helps people to improve their health.
Yeah, when I was researching, IMRS was one of the few I felt like who go in depth into explaining how the inner workings of PEMF. Even now, even in 2025, there are not a lot of resources that go, like, for example, what you did here today at the event, explaining a lot of concepts about foundation of PEMF. I couldn't find a lot of that online. So you and your company is doing a very good job in being transparent about the technology.
Yeah, because PEMF is not a mystery. Like I said, it's applied physics, and Newton physics is established, and you can find it everywhere. So you always have a benchmark to compare something with. And if we talk about the crucial properties of a PEMF device, we talk about intensities, frequencies, we talk about waveforms, so the way how you're gonna introduce the information to the people. We talk about induction. Those are all things which are coming from physics. So there is nothing to hide, because literally everybody could manufacture a PEMF system because the knowledge is out. However, what is more important and what is probably a little bit more tricky is the combining those basic properties together to create coherence. And this kind of coherence is necessary to really make a PMF system efficient. So high intensity alone, high frequency or low frequency alone, a specific waveform alone is not crucial. It is the combination of everything together which makes a PMF system workable and also health beneficial for people. And I think this is the difficult thing, to find this perfect mix to make a system coherent. And that most of the competitors we see, they are lacking this, and they are more or less focused on marketing, advertising with high intensities, or we have the best frequency, we have this kind of waveform which we modified 10 times, but at the end the coherence is not there, and this is something we build a lot of wealth of knowledge over 3 decades, and I think that's the advantage we have, or however you want to call it. And also, I'm happy that you mentioned that we are really transparent, because you can only be measured if you are transparent, if you have access to the information. And I think it's important when you, especially in energy medicine, that you really disclose your properties. You cannot patent a waveform anymore. This is already over. So there is nothing to hide, and the more transparent you are, the easier for the people to find out whether this or this system works for them.
And also it seems like you and your team also go in depth into the quality of the product, like the coils that you use. That was very good to hear as a client or a customer, that you take care of the device at a very granular level. And speaking of which, one more thing I wanted to ask you was, because this gets graded as a medical device, how do you make sure it's safe for people? Because if the electromagnetic field is going to affect human body, safety would be like one of the main.
Well, the problem nowadays is, you know, that different countries have different regulations. So, for example, we have countries where the IMRS, which is our flagship product, is certified as a medical device. We have countries where it's not certified as a medical device, where it's still a wellness device. The difference between a medical device and a wellness device is, first of all, a medical device is a medical device when you make medical claims. Rule number 1, which we actually don't even do with our system, because the system is not designed for a specific treatment or for a specific indication. It's an overall holistic modality. And the second aspect, and you mentioned that, safety, patient safety. And when you look at the PMF device, the safety aspect is usually within the intensity levels you apply to the user. And the approach of us and our units was always extremely low frequency, extremely low intensity. Why? Well, there is a lot of research out which tells us that this approach creates a lot of health beneficial effects overall. We have PMF devices, they work in intensity levels, they are 100,000, even 1 million times higher in intensity than ours, but they are designed for specific treatments. For example, RTMS, repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation, is a modality which is now established in the medical field to treat depression. Special handheld device which targets the brain with a very, very high intensity. We talk about 3 to 5 Tesla, which, like I said, is about 100,000 times higher intensity what we apply. It needs to be in the hands of professional people who knows how to deal with that. It's still PMF, but it's a totally different approach. So we see our systems not in the medical field, but But we treat our system medical grade. So when it comes to certifications and whatsoever, we maintain a quality management system 13485. This is for medical devices to make sure that our quality levels are high. We also maintain an additional quality management system with MD-SAP, which covers the requirements for medical safety for USA, for Canada, for Japan and Brazil. And obviously we use only components which are on the highest level. We look at the applicators that we have certificates for biocompatibility, all that kind of stuff. We use only solid copper coils, we use mesh wire stuff. So overall, it is complementary of Swissbionic Solutions that whenever we develop and we market a device, that it fulfills the safety standards which are necessary to ensure a safe operation, even for people in the comfort of their home and when they have no knowledge about it. And for example, the electromagnetic exposure of our devices falls in the household regulation. So we are, if you talk about safety, within the same regulation levels than, for example, a blow dryer or a microwave oven. So it's very safe to use our systems.
And it sounds like it's also safe for even children and pets.
Absolutely. Pets love it.
And one more idea I came across when it comes to PEMF frequencies is that some people compare it to Schumann's resonance. Mm-hmm. I'm curious to get your feedback on if there is a legit reality to that.
Well, that's the magic Schumann resonance which everybody talks about. It's also quite simple. The Schumann resonance is the carrier frequency of the ionosphere, so it's an existing frequency within our environment, which was always there, and which interestingly is very stable. It fluctuates only in tiny portions. You mentioned it, 7.83 hertz. So, by the way, it's produced by the spherics and by the lightning strikes, so by the weather also. And that makes it even more remarkable that it is so stable, that you see how nicely calculated our environment is and gives us the basics that we can create life within that. But the Schumann resonance is one frequency of many who we as human beings are probably depending on. There is not so much research out in terms of that we know already of specific frequencies, that they create specific beneficial effects or whatsoever. The approach of energy medicine is more or less probability. So you apply a lot of information, a lot of frequencies, and you pray that the more you apply, the more the receiver resonates with it and reacts on that. And that's what we call probability. And this is still the main approach when we apply energy medicine, because we simply don't know which specific frequencies do specific effects. And I know there are some companies, they claim that, but there is no substance to it, because at least me, I did not find any productive study or good research which proves such claims, you know, and that's why, you know, the more information you introduce to the receiver, to our organism, the higher the probability that it resonates with it. And this is more or less the approach which you have to apply if you want to make energy medicine successful.
And do you find it contradictory that we are trying to compensate what we don't get naturally by creating artificial frequencies?
Yeah, I mean, we can do this, obviously. So we know what kind of frequencies appear in nature. So we have the technology, so we can mimic them, we can create them, we can produce them, we can transfer them, and so it makes total sense to me, because as you know, our environment is changing so rapidly. And since the invention of electricity, which we talk about 120, 130 years ago, so this is a blink of an eye when you look at the history of our Mother Earth. So a lot of things changed in our environment because we have the introduction of artificial frequencies. So we speak about information which the human body cannot deal with because it was never introduced over millions and millions of years, and suddenly this information comes up, and now the body needs to somehow find a way to accommodate to it. And I believe the body is capable of doing that, but not in a short period of time. So it needs to find strategies and maybe even to create changes to be able to adapt to this or to be able to compensate this. And since we have the technology, why not, providing systems and products which are capable of eliminating or balancing these deficiencies with technology. It makes total sense to me. That's where bionics came from, But the science of bionic is nothing else than you see something in nature which makes sense, and then you try to apply it into technology. And this is what we are doing also when we talk about pulsed electromagnetic fields.
And how do you know if these frequencies are beneficial for you, or is it creating more noise for the
there is some groundbreaking science and some generic science about the exposure of frequencies and then reaction of human cells. And the most famous study obviously is the so-called biological window study. It was in the 70s, I think, from Bowen and Adey. They figured out that if you expose certain cellular structures of your organism, of certain organs with defined frequencies, that you create reaction within a very, very narrow window. And this window, also now known as the biological window, is roughly between 0.1 and 25 to 30 hertz. So based on that science, it would make sense, and then you look, for example, 783 hertz Schumann resonance, 11.75, 11.79 hertz, more or less the fluctuation of the carrier frequency of the electromagnetic field of the Earth, which is calculated, by the way, now. There's a book from a German math professor, Klaus Pionzig, who simply calculated the carrier frequency of the Earth magnetic field. So this knowledge is out. So the approach is based on what natural frequencies we are surrounded by. It makes sense to implement these frequencies in such products, in such systems, because at least they don't hurt, and at least we are surrounded by those frequencies on a daily basis, 24/7. So to supply these frequencies makes total sense.
And if you didn't have any restrictions on regulations or any restriction on budget, what would you, where do you see what do you see as the advanced version of PE?
So you're talking about what my favorite system would look like?
Yes. Yes.
Actually,
the highest potential.
I think we are right now at the center of what we know, and we would probably maybe ask me in 2 years, in 5 years, because the last 20, 30 years, not so many things changed. Even in medicine, not so many things changed. We always hear about the big changes, but frankly speaking, when we speak about the real problems, like dealing with the most favorable chronic diseases like cancer, like heart attacks, like all that stuff, we didn't progress so much. The problem is not solved. We cannot heal cancer with all the weapons we have and all the money we put in. There's not such a big change. And in energy medicine also, the problem, or the good thing is, at the same time, that you deal with properties which you can find in nature. And since nature is not changing so quickly, so there is actually, maybe there is some room for minor improvements, We soon will announce a new coil technology which we come out with, but we talk about improving the symphony between what nature gives us and the technical possibility to put that into products, and there you can always find some gap which you can improve. But I think there is no science fiction unit I would build based on the fact that I don't have the budgets right now, and if I would have it, I would do this and that, because I think we're utilizing more or less the optimum what's available as of now. As of now.
That's very interesting to hear, because to me it seems like we are still scratching the surface when it comes to frequency medicine, and there may be potentially much more it can advance.
Yeah, we still know nothing. It's quite limited, the knowledge we have. And we work a lot with experience, which is also science. I mean, you know it. If you have 20 people reporting something, maybe it's not enough when it comes to reliable science. But maybe if 1 million people report something, and you can gather out some data out of that, then it becomes weight, and it gets a word, you know, and then it is part of science, you know. So we collected a lot of research also from feedback from our users, and since we're doing this since 30 years, we have a lot of users. And you can create patterns out of that feedback, which gives you more or less an idea whether you develop in the right direction or not, or whether we are already there where we want to be, or if there is still a lot of space we can improve. And right now, because the knowledge, the collection of knowledge is not easy to get, it's a very slow process, you know.
And maybe with AI now, that process could help us maybe discover some ideas that are correlated and speed up the process of research.
Yeah, I think so. I think the new thing is everybody's talking about genetics, epigenetics. So we first get access not only to the cellular structure, but also inside the cellular structure, the DNA, the nucleus. So we open a new cosmos, which we couldn't touch before, and that creates tremendous opportunities to find something new. You heard it. I did a lecture. I mentioned that 2024 the Nobel Prize was given to the discovery of the microRNAs, so little proteins inside our DNA, which are controlling genetic switches and gene modulation, and so that's a complete new horizon which we just opened, and so there is a lot to come.
And I know you have to get back to the event, and this is my last question. With the way the practitioners are applying PEMF, is there something you would change? Is there something you are frustrated about the way it's applied?
Well, we all know that we have a technology which is more or less not acknowledged in classical medicine, which I don't blame classical medicine, because most of them are not educated in energy medicine, so they just don't have the knowledge. They're lacking knowledge, and that's why it's better to say nothing than to use it wrong, you know. So. But that's a process. I believe that energy medicine will become a important part of the classical medical faculties. It takes some time, as always, and we have a lot of practitioners, doctors who are also applying the more holistic approach, utilizing our technology. For me, it doesn't matter that it's acknowledged. I don't even want to make it too medical, because the idea and the concept of PEMF is not medical. It's about rebalancing. It's about finding an equilibrium with our organism, and helping the body to get the best out of its functions, not chemically but energetically, and it's just a great tool to do that, and it's so simple to apply, and it does not harm. So it contains of all the properties which I believe make it very unique, and it can be used in the comfort of the people's home. It can be used by all family members, including the pets. They love it. So it's just a great modality to create this atmosphere and this idea that people can do something to preserve their health.
And it seems like your approach more leans towards under-promise and over-deliver.
Absolutely. I mean, we have an oath that doesn't allow us to make any promises. This is a corporate oath we have since day one, and we don't do that. And if I do a lecture somewhere, I never talk about how good our system is or whatsoever. My approach is always to educate people about the modality, and if they resonate with it, they will make a decision by themselves whether they want to have such a technology at home or not. And I think this is a good approach, my belief, and it let me sleep every day.
Thank you so much for your time, Wolfgang, and I want to emphasize that you and your team have been doing an incredible job in educating people, and that was my main drive in purchasing this equipment, because you are so transparent, and that education, I think, is your core value, because that will automatically attract people.
Thank you so much for your kind words. It was a pleasure to be with you today.
Same here.
Thank you.
Thank you.